I never thought I'd be sitting across from my stepmother in a boardroom of Manhattan's most prestigious law firm, watching her realize that the teenager she once kicked out was now her only hope of saving everything she had. But life has a way of coming full circle, doesn't it? My name is Olivia Mitchell, and my story begins in a modest suburban home in Connecticut, where my father and I lived happily until I was 12. My mother had passed away when I was just 4, a car accident that left me with only faded memories of her laugh and the scent of her lavender perfume. For 8 years, it was just Dad and me, and we were happy. He was a high school history teacher who spent his evenings helping me with homework and weekends taking me to museums and libraries. Then Catherine Morgan walked into our lives. I still remember the day Dad introduced us. She was beautiful, with perfectly styled blonde hair and a designer handbag that probably cost more than Dad's monthly salary. She worked in real estate, specialized in luxury properties, and somehow found herself interested in a humble history teacher. "Olivia, sweetheart," Dad said, his eyes shining with hope I hadn't seen since Mom died. "This is Catherine. We've been seeing each other, and I wanted you to meet her." Catherine smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. "Hello, Olivia. Your father has told me so much about you." I was 12, not stupid. I saw the way she looked around our modest home, her nose slightly wrinkled as if she smelled something unpleasant. But Dad was happy, truly happy, for the first time in years. So I smiled back and tried to be welcoming. The wedding happened 6 months later. Catherine moved into our home, bringing with her expensive furniture, silk curtains, and a constant stream of criticism about everything from our old family photos to the way I dressed. "Darling," she'd say, her voice dripping with false sweetness, "don't you think it's time to replace these old pictures? They make the house look so dated." The photos she referred to were the only ones I had of my mother. Dad started working longer hours to keep up with Catherine's lifestyle. She convinced him to take out a second mortgage to renovate the house, replace all our furniture, and join the country club she insisted was essential for networking. I threw myself into my studies, finding refuge in books and the law club at school. The idea of justice, of right and wrong clearly defined by rules and precedents, fascinated me. My teachers noticed my passion. Mrs. Henderson, my English teacher, even helped me apply for a prestigious mock trial competition. I won first place. When I rushed home to share the news, Catherine was hosting one of her real estate cocktail parties. I found Dad in the kitchen, helping the caterers. "Dad, I won the state mock trial competition. Mrs. Henderson says I could get a scholarship if I keep this up." He hugged me quickly, pride shining in his eyes. "That's wonderful, sweetheart. We should celebrate." "James," Catherine's sharp voice cut through our moment. "The Andersons are asking about your opinion on their property dispute. Stop wasting time in the kitchen and come be social." Dad's smile faltered. "Coming, dear. We'll celebrate later, Olivia." We never did. Catherine's true colors emerged fully when I turned 16. I had been accepted into a summer law program at Yale, a prestigious opportunity that could open doors for college scholarships. The program cost $3,000. "Absolutely not," Catherine declared when I showed them the acceptance letter. "It's a waste of money. You'll never be a lawyer, Olivia. You don't have what it takes." "But my teachers say." "Your teachers are filling your head with unrealistic dreams. Besides, I need to renovate my office." "That's a much better investment." I turned to Dad, hoping he would defend me, support my dreams as he always had before. But he just stared at his hands, silent. That night, I heard them arguing through the walls. "She's becoming a problem, James. All these grand ideas about being a lawyer. She needs to understand her place. Not everyone is meant for success. She's my daughter, Catherine. She's smart. She works hard. She's a distraction. Do you know what my clients think when they see her walking around in those shabby clothes, talking about mock trials? It's embarrassing. The next morning, I found a part-time job at the local library. I started saving every penny, determined to pay for the program myself. For 2 months, I worked after school and on weekends, eating lunch at the library to save money. Then Catherine found my savings, $2,700 hidden in a book in my room. "What's this?" she demanded, holding up the envelope of cash. "Have you been stealing?" "No, I earned it, for the law program." Her face turned cold. "I told you no. Clearly, you need to learn respect." She took my money, all of it, used it to buy herself a new designer handbag. That was the beginning of the end. Over the next few months, Catherine's campaign to put me in my place intensified. She threw out my law books, canceled my subscription to legal magazines, and told my teachers I was no longer interested in a law club. The final straw came 3 weeks before my junior year ended. I had secretly applied for a scholarship to a law-focused boarding school in Massachusetts. Against all odds, I got in with a full ride. The acceptance letter arrived while Catherine was hosting another of her parties. She opened it before I could get home. I walked into a nightmare. "How dare you?" she screamed, waving the letter in my face. "Going behind our backs, trying to embarrass me. It's a full scholarship," I tried to explain. "You won't have to pay anything." "You ungrateful little brat." She ripped the letter to shreds. "I've tried to teach you your place, but you just won't learn. Get out." "What?" "Pack your bags and get out of my house. If you think you're so special, so capable, then prove it. But you won't do it under my roof." I looked to Dad, who stood in the corner, his face ashen. "Dad, please." He couldn't meet my eyes. Maybe it's best if you stay with your Aunt Sarah for a while, until things calm down." Catherine smirked triumphantly. "You have 1 hour to pack. After that, I'm calling the police for trespassing." I packed what I could into my school backpack and a small duffel bag, some clothes, my mother's photo, and the law books I'd managed to hide. As I walked out the door, Catherine's voice followed me. "Remember this moment, Olivia. This is what failure feels like. You'll never amount to anything." I walked 6 miles to Aunt Sarah's house in the rain. She took me in without question, her eyes filling with tears when I told her what happened. Aunt Sarah, my mother's sister, had never liked Catherine, but she kept her distance for Dad's sake. "You'll stay with me," she declared, "and you'll prove her wrong." That night, curled up in Aunt Sarah's guest room, I made a promise to myself. Catherine thought she was teaching me about failure, but she'd actually given me the greatest gift: freedom. Freedom from her toxic presence, freedom to pursue my dreams without her constant belittlement. I would become a lawyer. Not just any lawyer. I would become the best. And someday, Catherine Morgan would regret the day she underestimated me. Life at Aunt Sarah's house was different from anything I had known before. Gone were the constant criticisms, the walking on eggshells, the suffocating pressure to be invisible. Instead, I found myself in a home where dreams were encouraged and hard work was celebrated. Aunt Sarah, a high school counselor, helped me plan my future. "You can't attend that boarding school now," she said one evening over dinner, "but we'll find another way." She was right. With her help, I transferred to a different high school, one with a strong pre-law program. The next 2 years were a blur of advanced classes, debate team competitions, and part-time jobs. I worked at the local courthouse as a filing clerk after school, soaking in everything I could about the legal world. Dad called once, about a month after I left. His voice was hesitant, heavy with guilt. "Olivia, sweetheart, how are you?" "I'm fine, Dad," I replied, keeping my voice steady despite the pain in my chest. "How's Catherine?" He sighed. She thinks this is for the best. Maybe when things settle down." I cut him off. "Don't worry, Dad. I won't come back to complicate your life." That was our last real conversation. He sent birthday cards with small checks, which I never cashed, and generic Christmas wishes, but our relationship had been broken by his silence that night. My hard work paid off. I graduated as valedictorian with a full scholarship to Columbia University. Catherine's words echoed in my head as I delivered my graduation speech. "You'll never amount to anything." I used them as fuel. College was where I truly found myself. I double majored in business and political science, maintaining a perfect GPA while working part-time at a law firm as a legal assistant. My professors noticed my dedication. One of them, Professor Hamilton, became my mentor. "You have something special, Olivia," she told me after class one day, "a fire that can't be taught." Through Professor Hamilton, I met Diana Chen, a founding partner at Chen and Associates, one of New York's most prestigious law firms. I interned there during my junior year, working harder than any other intern. I stayed late, came in early, and volunteered for the cases no one else wanted. "Why do you push yourself so hard?" Diana asked me one night, finding me still at my desk at 11 p.m. I told her my story, about Catherine, about being kicked out, about the promise I made to myself. Diana listened silently, then smiled. "How would you like to be part of our legal scholarship program for law school?" That scholarship changed everything. I got into Harvard Law School, graduating magna cum laude 3 years later. Diana offered me an associate position at Chen and Associates immediately after graduation. I threw myself into my career with the same intensity that had gotten me through college. While other associates complained about long hours, I thrived on them. Every difficult case, every challenging client was an opportunity to prove Catherine wrong. My reputation grew quickly. I became known for taking on impossible cases and winning them. The legal community started calling me the closer, because once I took a case, it was as good as won. At 30, I made partner, the youngest in the firm's history. At 32, I became managing partner when Diana decided to semi-retire. The day I took over the corner office, I found a letter from Diana on the desk. "Olivia, I'm not just giving you this position because you're brilliant, though you are. I'm giving it to you because you understand that law isn't just about winning cases. It's about justice. Your past didn't break you. It made you stronger. Use that strength wisely." Diana. I built Chen and Associates into something even bigger. We expanded from corporate law into civil rights cases, taking on pro bono work for people who, like my teenage self, needed someone to fight for them. My name became associated with the biggest cases in New York. If you had a multi-million-dollar lawsuit that needed winning, I was the lawyer you wanted. Life had a strange sense of irony, though. One morning, my assistant knocked on my office door, looking uncomfortable. "Ms. Mitchell, there's a potential client here to see you. She doesn't have an appointment, but she's insisting. It's about the Morgan Realty Group case." I froze. Morgan Realty Group. Catherine's company. The same company that had been in the news recently for a $20 million lawsuit involving fraudulent property valuations. Send her in, I said, turning my chair to face the window. I heard the door open, heard the familiar click of expensive heels on hardwood floors. Then a voice I hadn't heard in 12 years. I need to speak with whoever's in charge, off Olivia? I turned slowly, savoring the shock on Catherine's face. She had aged, though she fought it with expensive procedures and designer clothes. But her eyes were the same, cold, calculating, now wide with disbelief. "Hello, Catherine," I said calmly. "I understand you need a lawyer." She stood frozen in my office doorway, her perfectly manicured hand clutching her designer bag, probably another one bought with someone else's dreams. You're the managing partner? Of Chen and Associates? I smiled, remembering the night she threw me out. "Please sit down. Tell me about your case." Catherine sank into the chair across from my desk, her composure cracking. "This is impossible. You were nothing. I was 16 and had nothing but a backpack of clothes and some law books," I finished for her. "Now I'm the person you need to save your company from a $20 million lawsuit. Life is full of surprises, isn't it?" Catherine sat in my office, her practiced poise crumbling as she realized the full magnitude of her situation. The $20 million lawsuit against Morgan Realty Group wasn't just any case. It was a career-ending, reputation-destroying disaster. "The accusations are false," she insisted, her voice trembling slightly. "We never knowingly inflated property values." I opened the case file on my desk, scanning documents I had already memorized. 7 properties, Catherine. All sold to elderly clients at grossly inflated prices. The evidence suggests you knew exactly what you were doing. She leaned forward, desperation creeping into her voice. "You have to help me. Your father?" "Don't." My voice cut through the air like steel. "Don't you dare use him to manipulate me. Not after what you did." Catherine's face hardened. "I did you a favor that night. Made you strong. Look at you now, managing partner at Chen and Associates. You should thank me." I let out a cold laugh. "Thank you. For throwing out a 16-year-old girl. For stealing her savings. For crushing her dreams at every opportunity. I was teaching you about the real world," she argued. "Nobody gives you anything. You have to take it." "No, Catherine. You were being cruel because you could be. Because it made you feel powerful to break someone else's spirit." I stood up, walking to the window overlooking Manhattan. "But you were right about one thing. Nobody gave me anything. I earned every bit of this success." She was quiet for a moment, then asked, "Will you take the case?" I turned back to face her. The great Catherine Morgan, begging for help from the worthless teenager she kicked out. "How desperate are you?" "I'll pay whatever you want," she said quickly. "Double your usual fees. Triple them." "It's not about money." I sat back down, folding my hands on my desk. "Tell me about my father. How is he?" Her expression flickered. "James. He's fine. Working. Teaching history at a private school now." "And does he know you're here?" "No," she admitted. "He doesn't know about any of this. The lawsuit, the company's troubles. I've kept it from him." I nodded slowly. "Because if he knew, he might finally see you for what you are." Catherine's facade cracked completely. "Please, Olivia, I'll lose everything. The company, the house, our reputation. All of it gone if you don't help me." I opened my desk drawer and pulled out a folder, one I'd been keeping for years. "Did you know I've been tracking Morgan Realty Group since I made partner? Every questionable deal, every suspicious transaction. I knew someday Our paths would cross again. Her face went pale. You've been waiting for this. Not actively, I corrected her. I've been busy building my own success. But I kept an eye on you, knowing that people like you eventually self-destruct. I stood up, walking to my office door. I won't take your case, Catherine, but I will give you some free legal advice. Settle. Take responsibility for what you did. Because if this goes to trial, I'll make sure every detail of your fraud becomes public record. You can't do this, she whispered. I'm family. Family? I turned back to her, my voice sharp. Family doesn't throw a teenager out into the rain. Family doesn't steal their savings or crush their dreams. You made it very clear 12 years ago that we weren't family. Catherine rose shakily, clutching her designer bag like a shield. You're enjoying this, aren't you? Watching me beg? No, I said honestly. I don't enjoy seeing anyone in despair, not even you. That's the difference between us, Catherine. You found pleasure in causing pain. I found purpose in overcoming it. As she reached the door, I called out one last time. Catherine? She turned, tears smearing her expensive mascara. Tell my father I miss him. Tell him when he's ready to talk. Really talk. He knows where to find me. After she left, I sat in my quiet office, thinking about that rainy night 12 years ago, about the scared teenager with a backpack full of dreams and a heart full of determination. I picked up my phone and called Aunt Sarah. How did it go? She asked. She was the only person I'd told about Catherine's upcoming visit. Exactly as it needed to, I replied. She's going to settle the lawsuit. Probably lose the company anyway, but at least her clients will get their money back. And how do you feel? I thought about it. Free. Like I've finally closed a case that's been open for 12 years. 2 weeks later, I received a letter. The handwriting was familiar. My father's neat teacher's script. Dear Olivia, Catherine told me everything. About the lawsuit, about coming to see you, about what really happened the night you left. I've been a coward. I chose peace over justice, comfort over doing what was right. I let her drag away my daughter, and I'll never forgive myself for that. I saw your name in the paper recently, the youngest managing partner in Chen and Associates history. I've kept every article about your successes, every mention of your cases. I was too ashamed to reach out, but I've been proud of you every single day. If you're willing, I'd like to have coffee. Just talk. Start somewhere. Love, Dad. I sat at my desk, reading the letter 3 times. Then I picked up my phone and dialed his number. Dad? Yes, it's Olivia. I got your letter. Coffee sounds good. Life has a way of coming full circle. Sometimes the longest journey leads you right back where you started, but as a different person. Catherine had tried to teach me about failure, but instead, she taught me about strength, about resilience, about the power of proving someone wrong. 2 months later, I got another visitor in my office, a teenage girl from our pro bono program. She'd been kicked out of her home, was living with a relative, dreaming of becoming a lawyer despite everyone telling her she couldn't. I looked at her and saw myself 12 years ago. Tell me your story, I said, leaning forward. And then let me tell you about how being underestimated can be the greatest gift someone can give you. Because sometimes the best revenge isn't about making someone regret their actions. It's about becoming so successful that their opinion no longer matters. It's about turning their cruelty into your motivation, their rejection into your determination. Catherine lost her company in the end. The settlement wiped out most of her assets. She and my father divorced shortly after. He finally saw her for who she really was. Last I heard, she was working as a regular real estate agent in Connecticut, no longer the queen of luxury properties. As for me, I dedicated a portion of Chen and Associates' resources to helping underprivileged students pursue legal careers. We started a scholarship program specifically for teenagers who, like me, had all the determination, but none of the support. Every time I interview a candidate for our program, I think about Catherine's words, "You'll never amount to anything." She was wrong. I amounted to everything I dreamed of and more, not because of her cruelty, but in spite of it. And now, I make sure other dreamers get the chance to prove their doubters wrong too. Sometimes when I stand in my corner office, looking out over the city, I remember that scared 16-year-old walking in the rain. I wish I could tell her that everything would be okay, that one day she'd be stronger than she ever imagined. But then again, maybe she already knew. Maybe that's why she kept walking, kept dreaming, kept fighting. Because sometimes the people who tell you you'll never succeed are the ones who end up needing your help the most. And sometimes the sweetest victory isn't in revenge, but in becoming exactly who you were meant to be, regardless of who tried to stop you.